Cain was the very first son born. His parents were Adam and Eve. They had left the Garden of Eden. Life outside the garden was hard. Cain grew up to be a farmer. He worked the soil with his hands. He tilled the ground to grow food. This was his way of life and work. Abel was Cain's younger brother. He was the second son of Adam and Eve. These two brothers were the first siblings. Abel chose a different path from Cain. He became a keeper of sheep. He watched over his flocks carefully. He tended to the animals in the fields. His life was spent with his livestock. They lived in a world that was still new. Humanity was just beginning its journey. There were no big cities or nations yet. Life was simple but also challenging. Cain and Abel learned about the world. They learned about work and survival. They were pioneers in a fresh creation. Their experiences were fundamental to humanity. As brothers, they grew up together. They likely shared many early experiences, but their different jobs shaped them. Their personalities also began to differ. One worked the earth, solid and unmoving. The other tended living, breathing creatures. These differences would soon become important. A shadow was starting to form between them. The time came for them to worship. Both Cain and Abel prepared offerings. They wanted to give something to God. This was a common way to show respect. It was also a way to give thanks, or perhaps to ask for blessings. Each brother brought what he had. Their intentions were put to the test. Cain, being a farmer, brought his produce. He gathered some fruits of the soil. These were the results of his hard labor. He presented them as his gift. The Bible does not say they were bad, it simply says he brought an offering. He offered what his work provided. This was his connection to the divine. Abel, the shepherd, brought from his flock. He selected some of the firstborn. He chose the very best parts, the fat portions. His offering was given with care. It represented the life he nurtured. It was a significant sacrifice for him. He gave generously from his livelihood. His heart seemed to be in his gift. God responded to their offerings differently. The Lord showed favor to Abel and he accepted Abel's gift, but for Cain, it was not the same. God did not look with favor on Cain, nor did he accept Cain's offering. The reason for this is debated, but the impact on Cain was immediate. Cain felt the rejection deeply. He became extremely angry. His face fell, showing his distress. His spirit was downcast and bitter. This anger began to consume him. God saw Cain's troubled state. He noticed the change in him. A dark emotion was taking root. God spoke to Cain directly. He asked, "Why are you so angry? Why has your face fallen down?" God then gave Cain a warning. "If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." This was a chance for Cain to choose. Cain did not heed God's warning. He let the anger and jealousy grow. He spoke to his brother Abel. He said, "Let us go out to the field." When they were there, alone together, Cain rose up against his brother. He attacked Abel, his own flesh and blood, and there Cain murdered Abel. Later, God came to Cain again. He asked a searching question. "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain tried to hide his terrible sin. He answered with defiance and a lie. "I do not know," he replied. Then he asked the famous cold question, "Am I my brother's keeper?" God knew what Cain had done. The truth could not be hidden. God said, "What have you done? Listen. Your brother's blood cries out to me. It cries out from the very ground." This showed the horror of the act. Cain was then told his punishment. He was now under a curse. Cain was cursed from the earth. The ground would no longer yield crops for him. It had drunk his brother's blood. He was to be a restless wanderer. He would have no settled home. Cain feared others would kill him. But God put a mark on Cain. This mark was to protect him from being killed. This ancient story teaches us much. It shows the terrible power of jealousy. It warns about uncontrolled anger. These emotions can lead to awful actions. We learn that choices have consequences. We are responsible for what we do. The story highlights the pain of betrayal and the sanctity of human life. The tale of Cain and Abel is still relevant. It speaks to us in our modern world. We still see sibling rivalry and conflict. We witness jealousy in many relationships. Anger and violence continue to cause suffering. The story calls us to manage our dark emotions. It reminds us to care for each other, to truly be our brothers and sisters' keeper.